a victory for India for sure that it has been able to get an order of extradition as against Nirav Modi after such a long pursuit. And the pursuit has been very long and hot as well. Over to you.
Yes, Mr. Jha, I also remember what happened in the PNB case when he ran away with our millions. Mehul Choksi also, had gone away. The PNB scam case, he was investigated in the 2 billion Punjab National Bank foreign fraud case. The Indian government wanted him for criminal conspiracy. This luxury diamond jeweler, the way he tried to cheat, corrupt, money laundering, fraud, embezzlement, and everything clearly shows that now it's time that India says we want our money back.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I don't think the government is leaving any stone unturned in their hot pursuit to get these fugitives back to India, so that they face the trial in the country of their origin.
I also want to ask you about this rather ridiculous stance that Nirav Modi took before the High Court asking for appeal, Mr. Jha, where he says, I am depressed and therefore I believe I am having suicidal thoughts and that's the reason I should not be brought back to India. Let me actually, Mr. Jha, after you answer that, go across to our colleague Deepthi. Yes, Mr. Jha.
See, depression, who is not depressed today? Everybody is depressed, and you're bound to be depressed if you are involved in this kind of a scam, which and the government is in hot pursuit of you. You are hiding, you have taken asylum in a foreign country, and India is leaving no stone unturned in its hot pursuit. So therefore, you're bound to be stressed. But stressed does not mean or does not entitle you for any relief, because if we start giving relief to an accused on the ground of he or she being stressed, then every accused will claim that he is stressed. You're bound to be stressed. You have committed a crime, and you must face the prosecution in the country where you have committed the crime. You can't take refuge under the pretext of you being stressed. You should have thought over it again and again before committing a crime of this magnitude.
All right, Mr. Jha, why don't you stay with us, Rhythm? Let's also get in Swapnil Kothari, who's been very patiently holding the phone line. Swapnil, good evening. How significant is this? Still some time till we have this man physically back in the country, but a significant move when it comes to the entire wheels of justice that have finally begun to move, and the agencies there putting an extremely watertight case, Swapnil, before the UK's courts. The reason why you have the High Court today dismissing his appeal on, grounds of depression.
The ground of depression itself is a very flimsy ground, and anybody having passed his law course will easily see through that, much less, or rather should I say much more than the High Court at the United Kingdom level. So as far as this aspect is concerned, Nirav Modi has lost all his arguments. He doesn't have any plausible legal arguments, cogent arguments to make before the court of law. And more so, rather than the legally succeeding, what is succeeding here is the diplomatic initiative, which has been taken behind all this legal scenario, that the UK counterparts are now convinced by the Indian counterparts that the Indian legal system is a robust one. There is no question of any human rights violation. And more importantly, that when Nirav Modi lands here, he will face a process of fair trial. So that is what is most important and which is prevailing, as you have seen in the last 2-3 days. Even Mr. Sanjay Bhandari was given an extradition order. So you're seeing one after the other, all of these extradition orders will start taking place, because it's more so a success, not only of the Crown Prosecution Service, who are arguing on behalf of the Indian government before the UK courts, saying and presenting a very valid, cogent case, but it is more so the conviction with which they are arguing that the Indian system is possibly more robust than even the English one when it comes to certain aspects. So this is the way I view it. And to answer your question, whether it's still a long time, yes, it is a long time before, because he's a very powerful man. He's got enough, still possibly some aces up his sleeve to try, but I don't think those cards are going to work out well, because everything is going against him, Deepthi. And what's going to happen more so, very importantly, is that he's going to start losing all his appeals one after the other, including his possibly last jot attempt, which might be the asylum aspect, that I need to be given an asylum. Of course, for that, then the UK will...
And Swapnil, I was reading that to be able to reach the next stage of his appeal, And you can correct me if I'm wrong, then I'll also in fact get in Kapil Sankla. And Kapil, thank you. Good evening for joining us. But Swapnil, quick question to you before I go back to Kapil. I was reading, Swapnil, that it's not even easy now for him to approach the Supreme Court, because unlike here in India, in the UK, the Supreme Court listens to cases only of public interest, and clearly this does not fall in that category. So what really does this then mean, Swapnil, going ahead for the man, or you still believe that there could be some ways through which he could be just buying time?
Whether it's in a public interest or not in a public interest is eventually for the UK courts to determine. And possibly they will get into that sort of an exercise where they will try to say that, okay, this is something, we have to determine at the end of the day. But whatever it is, whatever that they determine, whether it's the public interest or whether it's not in the public interest, they are definitely going to end up, Nirav Modi is going to end up losing all his counts right up to whatever level that he wants to go to and pursue his case. But I don't think that it's going to cut much ice with any of the courts, because when you've lost, especially 1 or 2 tiers now that you have lost, then, any other further tier that may exist or anything, even the asylum aspect or whatever that he will try the way Vijay Mallya is trying, I don't think that's going to work out. So, Deepthi, all of this is basically an exercise. And now more so, most importantly, we've got an Indian Prime Minister up at the top level in the United Kingdom. I would call him Indian. I would not call him British. I would call him with an Indian origin. Let's put it that way to be precise, politically precise. So he is going to be able to influence much better the entire judicial system in that sense, because obviously the judiciary cannot function totally independent of political, influence in some form or the other. So if he presents and says that, look, the Indian judicial system is much better and it is not something which you have to worry about. So obviously that echoes through the corridors of the UK courts, and which it has been echoing. So I see a great possibility of us succeeding in getting whoever we want back. But it's going to take a while. Because
and clearly a message there. Yes, it will. We've seen Vijay Mallya. We've seen how that case has moved. Just 2 days ago, 48 hours ago, Abhishek, Rhythm, we were breaking the story about, Sanjay Bhandari, who again is going to be extradited back to India. Today, you have the story of Nirav Modi, and it's clearly going to be Mehul Choksi next. Kapil Sankla, the UK court says extradition will not be unjust. The very fact, that you can manage an extradition from the UK, Kapil, everyone knows is a Herculean task. It isn't easy. The very fact that this case has reached where it has, Kapil, how important is it?
I think, as was said, this is truly a proud moment for us. They've been, past years of poor legal representation. I think the strategy that has been used in legal acquisition that has been fantastic. I remember this was, I think, in February 21, if I'm not mistaken. There was this question where challenge was made from the Westminster Magistrates Court in this matter, right? And at that time, we were resisting this argument and saying that, what has been done and what can be done, this will be challenged or not. The fantastic thing is that there have been consistently 2 orders in our favor, and that's actually a huge thing for any court. You see, what happens is that when you go to the Supreme Court, as you rightly said, that the Honorable Supreme Court there only look at matters which have point of view of law or public importance. So as far as public importance goes, this matter will not be admitted. The other is law. On the question of law, there are 2 orders or 2 judgments against this gentleman. So I don't think that this is now going to take a very, very long time, considering that the Supreme Court there expedites matters. It's not a very slow process there. And the order made by the Magistrates Court, I think the Westminster Magistrate Court, was also a very well-reasoned order. And this was also on the points where, it was argued that there is a political character to it, etc., etc. None of those arguments cut any ice. They haven't cut any ice in the High Court as well. So I think it's a great, great movement for us. I think what has been done is fantastic. And I think that the test, so to say, the test of time has shown that the Westminster Magistrate Order has been allowed. The High Court has also passed an order in favor of that, and I think extradition is not so far away now.
Kapil, why don't you push that point a little further? Then we'll go back to both Abhishek and Rhythm. Help us understand what is the procedure like, because anyone who understands the law will be able to tell us that extradition from the UK, like I reiterated, is a Herculean task. It isn't easy. But the fact that you have Indian agencies that are putting out watertight cases, Indian agencies, Kapil, again and again sending out that message that you can't be looting the country and believe that you can run away and be safe at another land.
So I think now what should be done is you can run away, but you cannot hide. So as far as the law is concerned, you see it's a very Herculean task. There was an extradition treaty that was signed in 1992, if I'm not mistaken, which was subsequently ratified. The extradition treaty basically stated that there are certain exceptions where the government there can choose cases of political character, issues pertaining to race, religion, nationality, there are cases pertaining to death penalty, etc. So the extradition, which also came subsequently between India and UK, is very simple. If you seek an extradition, the government must send a request through the Ministry of Business. This is the Home Office.
Okay. Kapil, we just have some trouble with your audio line, so we'll just reconnect with you because I think it's important to understand what happens from here on. We also have Dr. Subramaniam Swamy joining us right now here on Republic. Sir, thank you and good evening for speaking to us here on Republic. How do you respond to this, sir? You're looking at Vijay Mallya, who's lost all cases. He's yet to be extradited back to the country, but India has won that case. Then you have Sanjay Bhandari. Today, the news breaking that Nirav Modi is going to be next.
But he's not being extradited. They have dismissed that. They didn't agree with his claim that he was not in good health. But they said that we can't be unfair to you, and therefore they have not agreed to it. To his being extradited to India. In any case, you see, there are many appeals left over. And this is going on and on and on. Because I'm not sure that there's been a proper legal team which has handled this in seriousness, or maybe the instructions were not to bring them back because they never speak. They will say who got so much money from them. And that will be a great embarrassment to many people.
Okay, Dr. Swamy, thank you for being with us. We shall try and come back to you. But let's also tell our viewers what happened in the courts today, because this is going to be seen, as we say, drag Nirav back, the biggest victory for us. Nirav's fragile mental health is the biggest stand, viewers, that he had before the UK court. And now the state of prisons, lack of proper health care, under trial, slow judicial process is no longer going to hold true. Absolutely absurd that Nirav argued deeply before the High Court that he's depressed, and it's lousy that PNB fraud accused says high risk of suicide in India.
Yes, and Rhythm, I think that's the reason why that entire argument was thrown out. It was thrown out with the court saying that extradition at this point is not going to be unjust. But what's extremely important here is again and again to reiterate the direction that these cases are moving towards, Rhythm. And let's see if we can also get in Abhishek here. Because Abhishek, this is about the PNB scam. Likewise, the entire story of Vijay Mallya is something that a lot of people connected with. There were a lot of people here, his ex-employees who did not even get their salaries. And this man is having a, king-size life elsewhere. So the message that the government today is sending out is that we are watching you. We will ensure that, you repay each and every penny that you owe to the country. And I remember the late Arun Jaitley actually saying this on the floor of the House.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, that is the reason why, Deepthi, that legislative changes were brought in and the Fugitive Economic Offenders Act was brought in 2018 to make sure that a repeat of the likes of Vijay Mallya to Nirav Modi to Mehul Choksi to Sanjay Bhandari does not happen, and that India is armed to the teeth with law when it comes to dealing with the courts in these foreign jurisdictions. And that's something which is paying dividends in terms of, the minutiae. For example, in the case of Vijay Mallya, and Rhythm would know it, that when he said that, oh, I can't live in a jail because my human rights are affected. And remember, in these extradition proceedings, the UK courts are guided by a dual criminal law system where whatever is crime in India is also supposed to be a crime in United Kingdom, and also has to, submit to the provisions of the European Human Rights Convention for a person to be extradited. So Vijay Mallya said, I can't live, my human rights get compromised if I live in Orthon Road jail. And that's when the undercell video was also sent by the CBI and played before the court to show that this is the condition in which Vijay Mallya would live. Similarly for Nirav Modi, the CBI, the ED, the agencies have presented before the court how these people would be submitted to the due process of law, and that's no different from what they are going through in the United Kingdom. Of course, there are still loopholes, and Rhythm can join me on that, because now, Nirav Modi has one more appeal left. He can go to the Supreme Court of the United Kingdom. Also, like in the case of Mallya, we have seen, Deepthi, that Mallya, apart from the extradition proceedings, parallelly started a political asylum plea with the UK Home Department, and that's something which complicates things. In fact, this has cast a shadow. That's cast a shadow on India's negotiations on free trade agreement with the United Kingdom, because we want mobility options, including extradition, on which the British are a little notorious. We have an extradition treaty with the British since 1993, and of the 27, 28 odd requests made, I think 1 or 2 only have been acceded to, and only 1 or 2 extraditions made. So still some legal issues left, but it's a big development so far as the fight of Indian agencies to get these fugitive economic offenders back to India is concerned. Deepthi.
Absolutely. Drag Nirav back. That is the hashtag. Abhishek and Rhythm, we are on top of that story. On the other side of this quick break, we come back with more reactions, and we tell you exactly how long before this man, this one who looted the country, is going to be dragged back. Not just that, also keeping our eye on domestic politics. Republic, your election news headquarters, is building up to that big election in the hill state of Himachal. And starting this evening, you are looking at the biggest coverage here on Republic.
In the latest Indian university rankings announced by QS, the world's leading university rankings organization, India's #1 ranked universities in various categories are IISc Bangalore, IIT Bombay, University of Delhi, University of Calcutta, and Amity University.
The stone pelting that had been done at the Vande Bharat Express, exactly at the window where Saudin obviously had also been seated.
Nirav, yesterday he went into one of the theatres and he took law in his hand. He and his party workers beat up the viewers who were there sitting and watching the movie.
A joint exercise, that's the Garud 7 being conducted in Jodhpur.
एनसीपी के कार्यकर्ताओं ने मारपीट की. जितेंद्र अवार्ड went there inside the theatre and also beat up. Why are you not responding? Didn't you breach the privacy of those viewers who were watching the movie? Why don't you respond?
2 states. गुजरात के लोगों ने इतना भारी बहुमत देके इनको राज दिया कि आपके घर में मौत होने पे आपसे मिलने भी नहीं आते.
भारत के साथ जम्मू कश्मीर को जोड़ने का काम देश के प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने.
There's only one channel for the Rizaldi line. December 8 with Arnav.
Fire broke out at the Indian Oil Depot at Patna's Sip.
हिमाचल भाजपा को विकास का नया संकल्प लेने के लिए, इतना अच्छा घोषणा पत्र बनाने के लिए बहुत बहुत बधाई देता। हिमाचल भाजपा के 11 शुभ संकल्प यहां के विकास को नई ऊंचाई पर ले जाएंगे।
ने हाथापाई क्यों की थी बताइए ना। उस व्यक्ति का क्या दोष था जो फिल्म देखने आया था? आपका फोटो दिख रहा है वीडियो में, आपका फोटो दिख रहा है वीडियो में। उस व्यक्ति का क्या दोष था जिसने हाथापाई? This is the NCP worker who was there with Jitendra Wad. He is not in fact responding to the question.
250 seats. कांग्रेस और कमीशन, कांग्रेस और भ्रष्टाचार। हम मिशन से काम करते हैं, वो कमीशन के लिए काम करते हैं।
पैसों से चुनाव नहीं जितवाएंगे आप, कि आप अपने भविष्य के आधार पर अपना वोट देंगे।
There's only one channel for the result. Day live. December 8 with Arnav.
The stone pelting that had been done at the Vande Bharat Express, exactly at the window where Sabin obviously had also been seated.
Jitendra Wad, yesterday he went into one of the theatres and he took law in his hand. He and his party workers beat up the viewers who were there sitting and watching the movie.
A joint exercise, that's the Garud 7 being conducted in Jodhpur.
एनसीपी के कार्यकर्ताओं ने मारपीट की। जितेंद्र वाड went there inside the theatre and also beat up. Why are you not responding? Didn't you breach the privacy of those viewers who were watching the movie? Why don't you respond?
2 states.
और आज हिमाचल के लोग भी कांग्रेस को भली भांति समझ चुके हैं, जान चुके हैं। कांग्रेस को लगता है कि हिमाचल हमेशा 5 साल उसके 5 साल मेरे वाले फॉर्मूले पर ही चलेगा। 5 साल मैं मौज करूं, 5 साल तुम करो, फिर मैं 5 साल के बाद आ जाऊंगा। यही फॉर्मूला लेकर के चले। और इसलिए कांग्रेस के नेता हिमाचल के लोगों की कोई परवाह नहीं करते।
आपने अपनी शुगर चेक की क्या?
आपने शुगर चेक की क्या?
A simple sugar test can save you from diabetes-related complications. This World Diabetes Day, take a pledge to check your sugar and beat diabetes with Beto.
Get your diabetes care program with a free Beto glucometer. Give a missed call on 740-1100.
2 states.
गुजरात के लोगों ने इतना भारी बहुमत देके इनको राज दिया, या आपके घर में मौत होने पे आपसे मिलने भी नहीं आते।
भारत के साथ जम्मू कश्मीर को जोड़ने का काम देश के प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी।
There's only one channel for the result. Day live. December 8 with Arnav.
Fire broke out at the Indian Oil Depot at Patna's Sipara in Bihar in the late hours of Monday.
Bus accident over there reported in Kupwara and Jammu and Kashmir. We're learning so far at least 20 people were injured.
Kerala Union of Working Journalists is taking out a protest outside the Raj Bhavan against Governor Arif Mohammad Khan's comment of gagging 2 media groups in Kerala.
ने हाथापाई क्यों की थी बताइए ना। उस व्यक्ति का क्या दोष था जो फिल्म देखने आया था? आपका फोटो दिख रहा है वीडियो में, आपका फोटो दिख रहा है वीडियो में। उस व्यक्ति का क्या दोष था जिसने हाथापाई? This is the NCP worker who was there with Jitendra Wad. He is not in fact responding to the question.
seats. कांग्रेस और कमीशन, कांग्रेस और भ्रष्टाचार। हम मिशन से काम करते हैं, वो कमीशन के लिए काम करते हैं।
पैसों से चुनाव नहीं जितवाएंगे आप, कि आप अपने भविष्य के आधार पर अपना वोट देंगे।
There's only one channel for the result. They live. December 8 with Arnav.
The stone pelting that had been done at the Vande.
And breaking news has just coming in. We are learning that the Facebook parent Meta has sacked about 11,000 employees. It has gone ahead to reduce its workforce by a whopping 13%. In fact, Mark Zuckerberg has written a note on the very same, and he says it is important right now to undergo these very difficult changes in Meta's history.
The stone pelting that had been done at the Vande Bharat Express, exactly at the window where obviously had also been seated.
Nirav, yesterday he went into one of the theatres and he took law in his hand. He and his party workers beat up the viewers who were there sitting and watching the movie.
The joint exercise, that's the Garud 7 being conducted in Jodhpur.
एनसीपी के कार्यकर्ताओं ने मारपीट की. जितेंद्र अवार्ड went there inside the theatre and also beat up. Why are you not responding? Didn't you breach the privacy of those viewers who were watching the movie? Why don't you respond?
2 states.
गुजरात के लोगों ने इतना भारी बहुमत देके इनको राज दिया कि आपके घर में मौत होने पे आपसे मिलने भी नहीं आते.
भारत के साथ जम्मू कश्मीर को जोड़ने का काम देश के प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी.
There's only one channel for the result. They live. December 8 with Arnav.
Fire broke out at the Indian oil depot at Patna's Sipara in Bihar in the late hours of Monday.
Bus accident over there reported in Kupwara and Jammu and Kashmir. We're learning so far at least 20 people were injured.
Kerala Union of Working Journalists is taking out a protest outside the Raj Bhavan against Governor Arif Mohammad Khan's comment of gagging 2 media groups in Kerala.
ने हाथापाई क्यों की थी बताइए ना. उस व्यक्ति का क्या दोष था जो फिल्म देखने आया था? आपका फोटो दिख रहा है वीडियो में. आपका फोटो दिख रहा है वीडियो में. उस व्यक्ति का क्या दोष था जिसने हाथापाई की? So, this is the NCP worker who was there with Jitendra Award. He is not in fact.
कांग्रेस ने हिमाचल को हर बुनियादी चीज के लिए तरसा दिया था. वहीं भाजपा है जिसने हिमाचल के हर घर को बुनियादी सुविधाओं से जोड़ने के लिए दिन रात ईमानदारी से प्रयास किया है.
ने हाथापाई क्यों की थी बताइए ना. उस व्यक्ति का क्या दोष था जो फिल्म देखने आया था? आपका फोटो दिख रहा है वीडियो में. आपका फोटो दिख रहा है वीडियो में. उस व्यक्ति का क्या दोष था जिसने हाथापाई की? So, this is the NCP worker who was there with Jitendra Award. He is not in fact responding to the question.
250 seats.
कांग्रेस और कमीशन, कांग्रेस और भ्रष्टाचार. हम मिशन से काम करते हैं, वो कमीशन के लिए काम करते हैं.
पैसों से चुनाव नहीं जितवाएंगे आप, कि आप अपने भविष्य के आधार पर अपना वोट देंगे.
There's only one channel for the result. They live. December 8 with Arnav.
The stone pelting that had been done at the Vande Bharat Express, exactly at the window where obviously had also been seated.
Jitendra Award, yesterday he went into one of the theatres and he took law in his hand. He and his party workers beat up the viewers who were there sitting and watching the movie.
The joint exercise, that's the Garud 7 being conducted in Jodhpur.
एनसीपी के कार्यकर्ताओं ने मारपीट की, जितेंद्र अवार्ड went there inside the theater and also beat up. Why are you not responding? Didn't you breach the privacy of those viewers who were watching the movie? Why don't you respond?
Two states.
गुजरात के लोगों ने इतना भारी बहुमत देके इनको राज दिया, या आपके घर में मौत होने पे आपसे मिलने भी नहीं आते।
भारत के साथ जम्मू कश्मीर को जोड़ने का काम देश के प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी।
There's only one channel for the result day live. December 8 with Arnav.
Fire broke out at the Indian oil depot at Patna's
It's a big victory for India days after Sanjay Bhandari's extradition not from the UK court. Now Nirav Modi faces extradition.
इस बयान पर तथाकथित परम शिव भक्त हिंदू यानी जो कांग्रेस के चिर युवा नेता हैं उनका क्या कहना है?
Back to back, two Vadra Congress leaders indulge in Hindu hate abuse. BJP hits out. Countdown for Himachal Pradesh begins. 3 days to go. Massive campaigning is underway. Top brass of political parties deployed in Himachal Pradesh. Prime Minister Modi leads BJP campaigning. Prime Minister launches attack on Congress over neglect of security forces. It is the largest election coverage on Republic. Stay tuned for special opinion poll broadcast at 7 p.m. Thank you for staying with Republic, and we continue to keep you up to speed with this latest detail that has just come in. It is certainly a big win for India because after Sanjay Bhandari, just 2 days after, is now Nirav Modi, who has lost his appeal against extradition in UK High Court. This is certainly coming in as big news because the court has ruled that extraditing Nirav Modi would not be unjust or oppressive. We understand how Nirav Modi had tried his level best from his lawyers, who had put out a string of reasons of why Nirav Modi should not face the law in India. But now this is certainly a big setback for the fugitive Diamond there, as the UK court has clearly said that extraditing Nirav Modi would not be unjust or oppressive. Nirav Modi, who is and must face the law in India after what he did with his uncle Mehul Choksi. 13,000 crores of fraud in the PNB bank fraud case, and he's escaped to the UK. He's been there since the last few years, but this is certainly about coming one step closer, where Nirav Modi must be brought back to India to face the law. It's coming in as a big win, as Nirav Modi has lost that appeal in UK court. He had appealed against being sent back to India to face trial in the massive fraud case linked to the Punjab National Bank, and now he's lost that appeal. Lord Justice Jeremy Stuart Smith and Justice Robert J., who heard the appeal earlier this year, delivered the verdict that allowed Nirav Modi's extradition to India. He had fled from India for cheating PNB for over 13,000 crores, and now, as the agencies put up a watertight case in the UK court, this is one step closer for Nirav Modi to be brought back in India to face the law. We continue to get you more voices to understand what due procedure will follow on the legal remedies that he may have, but most importantly,
how the agencies are getting one step closer to bring back Nirav Modi to face the law in India, who had put up a string of reasons, several excuses, saying that he should not be brought back to India. But this is the latest that is just coming in, and once again highlighting the intent of the government when it comes to these economic offenders who fled the country but must face trial. Vijay Mallya, Sanjay Bhandari, Nirav Modi, Mehul Choksi of course next. And Nirav Modi's appeal has been dismissed after 3-day hearing. 3-day hearing where his lawyers had put out reasons to why he should not be brought back to India, but now the UK court making it amply clear that it would not be an unjust move. Lord Rami Ranger is now joining us from UK. He'd be able to throw more light on how the case now moves forward. Lord Rami, really, your views on how the case is now proceeding, and with this latest development, how close is India when it comes to Nirav Modi's extradition?
Sadly, the line is very bad, but I can just barely hear you. But this is a very good move and good news for India and good news for Britain, that Britain cannot be a haven for fugitives, especially from India, because we are talking about free trade agreement that will put an end to all those criminals who escaped the United Kingdom, because the law system is so robust here that people get fair hearing. But this is why most of the Indian criminals who steal money from the poor people of India and end up in luxury apartment in United Kingdom. So I think we have been working very hard to stop this. I've been talking to the previous Home Secretary, Priti Patel, that we should not give them any asylum because they should face the justice. They have done wrong in a country and they have taken money from the banks and all the investors. So therefore, it's a very good move. He will not have the appeal. He will not get the asylum. And not only him, there are quite a few other people also in the queue. I think, we have also been asking the government of India to tighten up the banks, lending of banks. I mean, most of the irresponsible banks have lent money to these people without due diligence, and this is the result we are facing. So I think the ongoing, we need to make sure that, there is a proverb, lock your door and don't call anyone a thief. We allowed these people to steal money from our banks and from investors. So I think this is a very good move, and this is a good signal for all those people who were thinking of doing just that.
Oh, certainly it is, Dr. Rami. And also, very important point here would be the cooperation that UK would lend to India at this point to ensure that Nirav Modi comes back to India to face the law. We understand the legalities that Nirav Modi can approach British Supreme Court against the High Court's order, but only if the High Court agrees that his case involves a point of law of general public importance. So coming back to you, Dr. Rami, on how the UK is going to support India in bringing back this economic offender.
I have already said to the current Home Secretary that we must not allow people to bring ill-gotten money to this country because they cannot add any value to our nation. They can only bring bad luck and bad activities here. And we have already stopped Russian coming into this country. Now Indians are quite a few of them here already. And we are going to make sure that the swift justice is meted out to them and they are sent back without giving them any right to go to court and try to get asylum or whatever. They claim that they won't get any free trial in India. This is all rubbish. India is a democratic country, judiciary is independent, they will get a fair hearing. So all those excuses they make to stay in this country in a very lavish style, I must say, you should come and see the way they live. Should be really put an end to this practice. So good news, good lesson for other people. It will set a precedent for other people not to venture into United Kingdom. It is no more a haven for them.
Absolutely. Dr. Rami Ranger, many thanks for speaking to Republic this evening.
Right.
I also want to cut across to my colleague Shavan Sen, who's been tracking this case very, very closely. And Shavan, talking about what are the options for his legal team at this point, because there is no clarity on what they plan to do next after today's setback. But like I was mentioning, that he can approach the Supreme Court. That is only if the High Court gives him a go-ahead, and that can be done only in the next 14 days. If that option is spent, then Nirav Modi is free to approach the European Court of Human Rights. But it really seems like these options are more or less exhausting for him.
Well, if you just take a look at what happened in the case of Vijay Mallya, that route is